here we have Ethereum, symbol ETH versus the dollar. And I want to address first and foremost the monthly closure right here, which looks pretty damn good. Uh-oh, we have some spammers in the comments right now, but that's all good. Elsa sent him on a vacation. Nice one. Anyways, looking at the monthly right here, something very, very important did happen. We did close above the topside Bollinger Band yet again. So that is, well, trend continuation by definition, as we are breaking out of this prior structure right here, this nice little ascending triangle, or if you want to call it some sort of a bastardized version of cup and handle, that's fine as well. And volatility is expanding. So volatility plus trend. And as we'll see soon enough, I suspect that momentum's there as well. And I would say that while Ethereum could have a little bit of downside this month, maybe even just below $4,000, that's completely fine. Long term, I do, well, at least based off of this, I will have the long-term bias that it very likely does continue. Now, this is even more powerful on the bi-monthly as well, which closed well above the topside Toronto band. In fact, has been consistently doing it ever since basically this past year, since January. And what do you know? The topside Toronto band now coming in just below about $4,000. So, if we do see a bit of a downside move on this, on this month or perhaps next month, I do think somewhere between about 39 and 4,000 is kind of where I'd be looking for. I don't think that if things start to go a little bit further south than that, then that would be a good insight that perhaps this is not going to be the most likely thing to be happening. But overall, why is this important? Well, now we can actually draw some long-term projections on this one, as I'm taking on the macro scale a Fibonacci extension right here. As you can see, we based off the 1 spot 272, which is actually really, really good. And Bitcoin has a history of doing that as well. Anyways, short term relevant to a monthly, obviously. So perhaps maybe later this month in November, I would be looking for a move somewhere around the 1 spot 618 on a continuation drive. I suspect that that's also going to be in line with our measured move coming off of this as a nice little formation here as well. Something like this would be about. Not going to be super exact because this one's a little bit wonky right there, but let's see if it kind of aligns with it. Oh, what do you know? Line's actually right there. Perfect. All right, sweet. Anyways, long term, do I expect that things stop there? Probably not. I would be looking for a bit of a short term reversal perhaps, and consolidation lower. Long term, which is now specifically speaking to Mr. Ricky Owen. Realistically, a break above there, and I am looking towards somewhere between about 13 and 14,000 bucks. Here's the thing, though. I almost never, or at least I really can't recall too many times. In fact, I can't recall any time, but I'm just going to say many times because maybe I'm forgetting one or two scenarios where I've seen like a macro cycle top at the 2 spot extension. Typically, I see them somewhere around here, which would be significantly higher. Now, I'm not going to repeat those numbers because they're not really relevant right now. It's way too fucking far away. But to address your question, yeah, I do think that 13 to 14,000 bucks is actually somewhat likely, especially on a break of of basically 5,500 bucks, let's say on like a weekly long term. Anyways, go check out momentum oscillators over here. Whoops, wrong chart. Over here. Yes, there it is. Found it. And let's see what we got going on right now. Daily is going to be down, so maybe a little bit of short-term correction. Weekly is still up as long as above 38.69. Good. Monthly is freshly up, by the way. Very important right there. And holding within the bullish control zone as long as we're above 25.50. Looks rather likely. Looks good. And that would be speaking towards the long term, obviously. So yeah, man, to address your question, long term, I actually do quite like this one. Again, should always offer up an invalidation point. Short term bullishness does subside back down below about 3,900. I would be looking for another correction somewhere between about 3,650 to 3,700. Anywhere around the 55 right there would be fair game. But until that happens, I mean, I guess I'm medium term, long term, and macro bullish on this one. Very short term time frames. If we go down here to an hourly, not really getting too much from this right now. I mean, I'll tell you what you already know. I mean, it's not anything too sophisticated, but 4180, a nice downside pivot for the hourly right there. Short term, lower highs coming in right around about 4322. So I would declare a reversal back above there. Even back above about 4300 would probably look good enough for me. But that's essentially what I'm looking at for the time being. Volatility is starting to increase, and are we seeing a little bit of a low being put in right there? Perhaps yes. In fact, I do think so. Yeah, same thing on the 4 hour as well. Momentum oscillators are looking more corrective here than not. Still like the uptrend, man. The trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and in this case, all higher term timeframes uptrending, just short term timeframes kind of consolidating right now with BBWP on the floor right here as well. Back down into single digit percentiles at 6.35 percentile. So I don't necessarily think that it's like ready today, for example, but perhaps in the next week or two. Expansion from there would, well, obviously look really, really good. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Ethereum, sir.